Hello there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing a movie review of a very, very, very great classic monster movie. This was just a wonderful movie. It's actually my favorite monster movie of that era. I saw this movie when I was a little kid. It was late night on a Friday night, and man, it was just... Back then, we didn't have cable TV, and you could turn on whatever monster movie you wanted whenever you wanted to watch it. You had to take what they gave you. And man, Friday night, my brother Harvey and I, we sat up and we would watch them scary movies. We watched all kinds of good stuff there. It was we watched the Gargoyles and all kinds of stuff. This is a different one. You have to understand, Them is a classic monster movie it's iconic. It's a science fiction horror creature feature, is what it is. And basically, a little bit of history. Back in the 1950s and 60s, America was consumed with the idea that atomic radiation was going to mutate animals into unspeakable horrors. They were afraid of being mutated. Mutants, were the order of the day in monster movies. And tons of movies like this came out, and none of them... They had some good ones. Let's not mince words. They had some good ones out there. But none of them, in my opinion, none of them compares to this. This is... this is iconic. If you're going to mutate an animal to be a monster, this is the animal to take. Them is the story of common ants being mutated into giant monsters. There's something to this atomic mutant theory, by the way. After Chernobyl, earthworms were found that had been mutated by the radiation to be very, very huge. So the radiation from Chernobyl mutated them to be larger than normal. So there is something to this. And the reason that I think this is probably it's at least one of the betters, if not, it is, in my opinion, the best of that genre. But the reason it is because ants have a very organized society. They have workers, they have drones, they have, the drone types. They have the queen, and they have the soldier ants, warriors. So when their society is very neat and orderly, these mutants in this movie actually pose a threat to humanity because they're just as organized as we are. Maybe in a different way, but they're just as organized. The movie takes all of that into account, and it really, really pushes what could be. Okay? It's not just a monster, ooh, we got to find a way to kill it. That kind of thing. Which was generally what a lot of them were. Here, you had a creature who was organized in units and could... I don't know if... They're obviously they're not sentient, but they're very well organized. They have a society. They're protective of their breeding grounds, as it were. It really gets in depth. Like I said, the movie takes all this into account. The cast, they put a really great cast in this. A lot of these people you may not know, because this was from 1954. Okay? But let's look at this cast. You got James Whitmore, Joan Weldon, Onslow Stevens, Edmund Gwynn, Sean McClory, and James Arness. Yeah, Gunsmoke, that dude. James Arness. He also played The Thing, in The Thing from Another World, or whatever it was, where they were in the Arctic and found a spaceship buried under the ice. I talked about that in another movie, or it might have been a movie review. It might have been one of my UFO videos. I'm not sure which, but anyway, I do talk about him some. James Arness is a great actor. For standouts here, whenever I do these, I try to do standouts. Before I get to that, I want to hit one quick thing. The special effects in this movie were 1950s special effects, so you got to kind of take that with a grain of salt. But because it's 1950s-esque. But the concept and the writing were brilliant. If you made that movie today, it would be just as freaking scary. I mean, really scary. You could do a CGI ant and make the special effects better, but you couldn't make the movie itself better. You couldn't do the writing better. You couldn't do the acting any better. Certainly not the acting. You couldn't do the thought process, the concepts. You couldn't do any of that any better. They did that really well in this movie. This movie really showed war brought home. If that makes sense. You got to see the movie. You got to see the movie. For standouts here, I'm going to use James Whitmore. I thought about James Arness, and because he did have a big role in here, and he's always good in everything he does. But I got to go with James Whitmore. He plays Sergeant Ben Peterson, and you never think of him as an action star. But then you never have imagined him facing off against giant ants in a Los Angeles sewer system. Yeah. Because it starts out in the desert. And the ants move. Why? One home's gone. You got to find another home. Because that's how society is organized, is it not? Survival of the species. Well, guess what? It gets bad. It gets real bad. And it's really well done. You really have to see the movie to understand what I'm talking about. When I say that these people did a good job on this movie, you cannot give them enough credit. Again, special effects aside, and by the way, the special effects are still pretty good. But it's the 1950s. They couldn't be that great, right? But look at the other stuff. Look at the acting. Look at the directing. Look at the talent. Look at the concept. The whole 9 yards. Everything about that movie is brilliant. If you get a chance to see it, man, I promise you, watch it snuggled up with your kids on the couch at night with the lights out, and when the first ant shows itself, you go, whoo, and see how high they jump. It's brilliant. I guarantee you're going to get smacked. You folks have a good day. God bless one and all.